Hello, Americans. You hear topics like the border brought up in the news, the subject's treatments, the lawyers are still with the interbranch criminally foreign influence. It's relevant to where and to how our countries share. Kids here and there share on and off campuses here and there that are being used criminally foreign influence. And that was relevant to where you can't defend your kids leading up. Each country can't defend their kids with that and talk straight with it, which was leading up to the World Trade Center attack. In that context and since, it was effectively maintained to use what I caught them doing on off UConn, Trinity College, with people from Weathersfield that I never had classes with that were in my grade. And they used that phenomenon. Also, people with private schools pretending passions and emotions also were relevant. Identity theft, fraud, slander, acts and methods were manifest because there was a singular one that was against every colonist, every American, every Native American, further as Americans, and as the resistance of Native Americans against themselves and everyone else, because everyone was wrong, because everyone was taken from their where they were trying to get back to be real, right? In other words, they changed everyone's education, they changed everyone's rights and means. They tactically took humanity to force, also tricked and persuaded. Also worse, and everyone even realized also, defending and self-valued fact-cheating defenses of ourselves, tactical terror from how we are individuals grouped and together, species, body, of volume, /s, per nature, and the significance of this. She's denied by nature, by the logic of people A through Z, because you guys came through sick campuses. That state criminally foreign influence logic. Therefore, natures of treatments of A, therefore B. In other words, positive and negative treatments, time treatments. Therefore, increasingly valuing how the sciences got abridged and the value of that. So there are connections between people in the past who are on their way to pretend to know me. And there are ties to people on and off my street when I was a kid with little illusions, tricks. They also have roles with wire crimes, with the Weathersfield police, have roles with the state police and FBI and CIA and their families with wire crime methods where they fabricate audio and video, fake conversations with people. These are political families too. They put little illusions on. There are people on Quinnipiac University who pretended to know me years ago. I still don't know all their names. I know there's a Harris, Kevin Harris. He's involved with men and women who've been involved with the leaders of the kids and their kids, and forcing them to roles with abuses of the kids of mixed natures too. These are little fakes. There are a whole bunch of little people, men and women now associated with Town Line Drive, who use my name and background with judges and prosecutors as people with criminally foreign influence of other countries and private ties to them. Not by accident, they're kept needing to hide line progressions through time at the same locations as names involved with them with insidious predicate acts rolls on my street, investigators, people associated with the Witness Protection Program, people associated with various natures of courts, job sites where they all congealed. There are also timeline campuses behind my back and corners to try to make fake exceptions, which is what they're doing. They're making, because they're using exceptions, exception nature, distinctly from how nature uses it. They're getting over on everyone's impression. They're making people pretend they're honest, but you're incapable of it by the time you're out of grammar school. You blame other things, others, ourselves, for what our founders communicated to us to blame on the breaching method. If you don't bring the breaching method, You bring other things other than yourselves, and you have delusions relevant because there are tactical delusions that our formal stewards that are supposed to be the experts on them. So such things still have formally, so we can discern this and get rid of it. But the exploitations of it have been at other locations. Since what everyone missed and misses because all the substance treatments left out how there were more names and things involved for other the identities of these locations need to hide line progressions to the little kids' campuses. They can't afford the short words proper. You need to use phrases like criminal insidiousness. You need to understand how you can have criminal insidiousness natures of positive treatments, not just negative treatment too, and identity treatments. You have to understand criminal insidiousness nature of identity treatment syntactically, and words like opinions or debate. See, the Republicans leaders and the Democratic leaders and the exceptions, they are sickly distinctly force her persuaded chick to value locations, areas, and states, styles individually grouped together, styles of logic as collusion/S with the predicate acts and databases, fake ties to people just because they're in the same, age and stuff like that. Little tricks, and when they're not, when they're not tied, or why and how they're lying about all that too with the motivations. Because there are means to discern what's actually recorded. There are other motivations and names involved through time. How they use corners of buildings, other people involved with corners of streets near me through time. Involved with the witness protection program, involved with overt criminal enterprises, with names on off Trinity College, who involved with identity thefts and frauds and slanders against me, with names all along Route 3 and where it goes by the state judicial branch offices. The names associated with houses and businesses along there had my name involved with the investigators as ones who use criminally foreign influence, with the overt criminal enterprises, private ones as the names of the ones interbranch switching and forging names. I found out about this too because of the involvements of other countries, timed at those locations through times rules with those courts and investigators used criminally at the court at the Town Line Drive, South Steen Highway, the corner of Main Street and Old Weathersfield, Church Street, other corner houses on Church Street, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed as names associated with the Weathersfield police wire crimes, confession, switching names. So let's get them, because from Judge Napolitano, let's get a response for this now, because they also brought up, they're pretending privacy. They're bringing up people's names. They're bringing up, and exceptions too, they criminally use self-value uses of that. That's also recorded in various ways. They've been pretend passions, emotions against hate speech to hide how they've been using roles with wire crime acts and methods as collusions at crime scenes, criminally foreign influence / hyper-criminally foreign influence since before our founders were born. The suburbs are manifest demonstrations of the infrastructure that was there since before the cars with slavery entrenched north and south as a torture method. Roles against everyone. Singular method, there was a whole bunch of methods. In other words, so we're playing the it has something to do with their roles, with the spots next to the dues locations playing these games. You can't call them a game because the wire crime methods they use and the mail crime methods they use is also involving phones. And they've been fabricating emails. NBC affiliates, please respond for them. And respond for the schools too, because Trinity College has roles with Weathersfield campuses of each age and nature through time, even closed campuses where there are connected uses of them and names involved with various natures of sick things with the kids, and them simultaneously pretending others through the news articles where they attach me and others to fake conversations with themselves and others, fake ties to others, including fake ties to doctors. These are people involved with the corners of streets near me through time criminally and with breaking into houses and with federal crimes with the judges and prosecutors fabricating police reports in the Weathersfield Police Department as the ones involved criminally with the FBI and various natures of federal criminals associated with them, including some of them as former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin's co-defendants involved with federal crimes of evidences on Trinity College, on off Two-Rod Highway, with names next to the campuses through time, involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and various natures of courts personally with their names criminally involved. As the ones with overt criminals, they're kept victims by victim predators, hyper predators, and they're lying about their motivations, and they're pretending others are liars because they're forcing, liars only speaking, they're forcing a quality of fact-checking nature that leaves out what's actually recorded. So also, I don't know the Debbie Gold who made fake exceptions and lied about the exception that was real. From behind my back, and to make it look like we had interactions that weren't at all before that. So they do little magic tricks as roles with various natures of organized crime and federal criminals and sick things that people that pretend to be against such have on off our campuses, which is one of the things relevant where and how there are answers that have been replaced by other ones. Because these are methods that are being used and haven't been used. There's a Perone family and there's a Kerr family. I had nothing to do with them. They're involved. They're one of the ones involved with the Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Transportation, and the former Mayor Gold, and medical locations, religious locations, and places next to the state capitol, and next to Fox Connecticut News, next to WFSB. They have roles with a whole bunch of different countries as on-off campuses, names that have roles with predicate acts on-off the campuses, sequence shift planting, as people on-off the World Trade Center leading up to the attack in it. That context, like for example, in the Ninth Circuit Court, right next to the World Trade Center, these are names that have roles with proven after the World Trade Center attack. Post-dated documents have been post-dated from inside the Ninth Circuit Court to make them appear late before the panel of judges. Has something to do, those names, with the people that have been, just behind my back and then trying to make fake exceptions with the names next to schools involved with identity thefts and frauds with the intelligence community living on and off those locations. And the parks, there are people that ran with the parks and worked for the community center in the past who have roles with various natures of crimes, including drugs and medicines crimes with little kids and against their families, fake conversations with them and their family members, attaching them to fake conversations about their families too, because they have roles with federal crimes in cases with various natures of federal criminals before they are caught and since. And they've been hiding lie progressions by using everything that comes before them. So it's not by accident a whole bunch of people have to get in fights and stuff like that. They're sent to mental evaluation locations that have roles with names involved with juxtaposed, totally distinct natures of organized crime and of abuses of elderly and children. Big world, small world. Oh, everyone knows everyone. Hey, you guys are sick because you don't follow mandated law. If you want to get right, if you hear what's right. So when people don't understand the passions and emotions being used by people on Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN, because they won't follow mandated law. Everyone's speaking through others. They're pretending they don't really. They're playing a shell game. They're like, in other words, they have roles pretending to care for the sexual rights of people. And they're using that to measure and maintain where and how they have roles with abuses of even younger kids, right through the medical community and people associated with the databases at the schools. There are roles with the intelligence community. There are roles with narratives regarding how they help get people jobs. Because the intelligence community has been using their kids and their roles with uses of the locations they're going to go back and defend as collusions with the same sort of things, as collusions that are needed timed right for the same sort of things that they're right there on paper countering. Like the news, when they have those people come in, we don't even know what they type. They just come up and show up to the door because they saw something on the internet, and we saw it with Chris Hansen or something like that. Heather Hansen, I only know her recorded, confess, demonstrate, confirm, involved with people from my grammar school, from other schools, involved, everyone, everyone, she had a whole bunch of boyfriends. When he say she had money, but I don't know her. They made fake exceptions pretending to know her. There were judges and prosecutors and overt criminal enterprises involved with little kids, boys and girls I never had a class with. I never saw her on my middle school in my entire life. I never saw her on grammar school. I saw her real fast, Heather Hansen, on one time on Highcrest. I mean, at the high school level. And that was recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. She rolls with some private school kids and the police chief's family and some former director of the FBI, some CIA family members, planting fake things in databases, rolls with drugs crimes, medicines crimes, sexual abuses of little boys and girls that are simultaneous, where the counters to that such things have collusions with it. They're pretending to be whatever they're pretending in background. They're increasingly hiding lie progressions from people involved with uses recorded consciously, influencing their kids to simultaneously confess and demonstrate that they're involved with the interbranch criminally foreign influence, and they can't stand to not offensively steal the identities of strangers. So they have other definitions that are legal than regarding peers. So they offensively, criminally setting that up. They preemptively, actively, and increasingly need to hide lie progressions. So I don't do a Perron family has something to do with people with the Wethersfield parks through time, with investigators who have been involved with identity thefts and frauds. That's how fake and sick criminally foreign influence the investigators and people involved with that. I mean, that's including judges and prosecutors. This is including the people that work with the programs with the kids. These are people with Hartford Hospital through time. Since before our founders were born, slavery was entrenched north and south. And like in 1822, on the campus of Central Connecticut State University, of Hartford Hospital, the Institute of Living was founded. Slavery was still north and south. That method of slavery and extortion of everyone simply distinctly, though, was through there. And so these are names next to the campuses involved with identity thefts, frauds, and slanders through time that are connected. They're making neighbors use neighbors' names. And then when they have to use other people's names because other people forced it, they're lying about the people using the names. So Wethersfield police keep bringing up the name Colella, people tied to them do. And they're forging in names, switching names with the name Colella. People with the military, with some black-white KKK themed military on-off CCSU. People associated with sociology, the different departments with Central Connecticut State University. Involved people on the child offender registry that I caught with real child abuses. Further, so even if they were made up because they're undercover or whatever they are, these are people on off the town offices in the library with Afghanistan families, with old Afghan leaders. They have people names with forensics locations. There are judges that are involved with the switching and forging names and just not providing the names because they're with some sick fake punks and backgrounds with crimes with the patients and criminals against them too, and against innocent people increasingly. They're keeping everyone needing to highlight progressions for themselves by furthering illusions for themselves time. control your mind. So get things to branch on paper. Make sure, because they have Judge Napolitano, they have Judge Jeanine Pirro involved with this. Fox News, Fox Connecticut News, WFSB, and WTNH brought all these people's names into this. And the exceptions they hide about what came first. These are people from before the World Trade Center attack, people from Harvard courts and the British Superior Court, affected me in my personal, affected confessions to people in their personal lives. They affected confessions to me in my personal life. They asked me for help. Communicated. They didn't ask like that. They just, I knew there were, because I knew how the location was being used interstate through time before that anyway. They hid how I caught that before the World Trade Center. As roles, having already used Saudis forced to roles with them with predicate acts on and off child campuses and spots right next to them in West Hartford. I didn't know the extent of it yet. On and off the ones in Wethersfield, on and off spots in New Britain. New Britain, you have, all these cities are sick leaders where it counts, where they're relying upon fake things being told to everyone. They're going to leave out details. This breaching method mastered with sophistication here before the fake sophistications that speak for black and white anyway, pretend they're sophistication. It's very simple. You stay. And the breaching method caused that. And the breaching method effectively uses it. That's what's actually recorded. Not what reported true. So in other words, the intelligence community has been pretending passions and emotions. They have complete possession over the extended family members and immediate kids of mayors and of other natures and levels of politicians. And they have roles with them with the names planting evidences on campuses. So there's a Zano family. I don't know them. And the Paul Zano went out of his way to demonstrate he has roles with sequence shifts and tried to make fake exceptions to know me because he had been influenced by the people involved with the judges and prosecutors and medical community in foreign countries criminally involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. And these are people forced to speak to each other. So, in other words, and there's a Luigi Guerrero involved with that too. A whole bunch of people out of Central Connecticut State University. I don't know what this Officer Poison looks like. There's also one with the Wethersfield Police Department, relatives of Kyle Gill and of Tanya Gill and their parents have roles with a whole bunch of people from other countries where they share intelligence community and foreign and domestic military, training each other, all these system computers and stuff like that. And they're over there covering up line progressions with people that were planting fake things in grammar school databases, making confessions of uses of other people's names, like Lance Cuddy. People in my 6th grade class brought up Lance Cuddy. There's a Lance Cuddy. He's got brothers and families and people associated with the news media and the intelligence community. I don't know him at all. And associated with this Lena's Pizza, pretended they switched names with a Maggie to get us, trick us for it to go there. The former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, Robert Chevalier, and his lawyer. And so this is the guy who used to be the former standing chairperson on the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, Robert Luskin. His lawyer, Robert Chevalier, has an office there, which is not far from the state capitol. And it's not far from the Harry Beecher Stowe / Mark Twain house there, which also has names associated with that and with Central Connecticut State University, involved all along Route 3 with the John Maiano and people associated with him that are also criminally involved with people that have class placements at me in the past and through time at different campuses I went to. Those class placements were people involved with evidences, crimes, and confessions, uses of such, where they stick on confessions, for example, where they have all kinds of subjects brought on people into classrooms where they're only going to bring an introduction to something like this. They're not going to, and they're going to they're not teaching the way they should be and could be. and why, how they missed how the sciences got abridged so overtly / insidiously, it's relevant. And the significance of that, where how its value or not, is also recorded. When they defend their logic like that, it shows evidence of it too. People say, oh, that's why the interbranch forging and switching names. They cannot afford proper fact sheet in nature. So they have something to do with people, with neighbors of a Paul Kelly through time. Is one of the ones on off Paul Manafort Drive at Central Connecticut State University, involved with WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, and WTNH with wire crimes with their phones and with their broadcasting stories. Has something to do with their roles with the military, foreign and domestic countries, on off the Wethersfield Library, on off the Wethersfield town offices, on off the campuses involved with predicate acts with these little games, and with the names, all how they have timed roles on my street, planting little illusions. So there are people with the military associated with the World Trade Center, and with a whole bunch of ties to mayors and to a family of and as Joseph Dennis, and places he worked and campuses he went to, people with intelligence community with Vermont, and with intelligence and with insurance companies and with prisons and with interbranch locations. They have crimes with the courts, putting fake things in databases to hide things from the past, criminally foreign influence uses of locations by the breaching method were coupled with roles with it that the interbranch have, but the same time is not just their fault. It is them with their patients and criminals and people A3Z at the same time continuing to have the same life progressions for uses of what I call them doing between campuses connected consciously. So you have to follow mandated law to have this demonstrated to you. So the Wethersfield police have been fabricating audio and video transcripts, replacing what's actually recorded audio and video over their phones and with video. On and off campuses, filmed 24 hours until they've been fabricated. I never had conversation with the older, verbal conversation with the older Mendez brother in my life. He knows my name through others, and he was forced to pretend other since he was a kid. There were men and women using him criminally and his brother for identity thefts and frauds against students that don't even know him. They make an exception, walk by, have someone use the name. I play no game. So these are people also with child offenders on the registry that are involved with the Wethersfield police through time. The reason they got away with that is because their roles with the families of and the persons of state police and of other, FBI, CIA family members. As the ones involved, getting involved with other people's business. These are people involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. Same ones within the British Superior Court and Hartford courts in West Hartford, criminally before the World Trade Center attack, on and off Central Connecticut State University and child campuses, planting fake audio and video on campuses filmed 24/7. No one's watching. They're just little fakes. That's how long. So this led up to the World Trade Center. The same names involved with that, with Connecticut intercities through time too, leading up to that. They were the ones right timed, right on and off the World Trade Center expected spot. The night before that, and then since they attacked me to fake conversations with them, so with the media and with others about the World Trade Center too. The World Trade Center. And then other investigators use their fake information. They're allowed to use each other's fake information, fake news. And that is self-valued by the candidates, including Trump, because in other words, then he has to stay entertaining locations, areas, and states, community, intelligence community, can't make a proper fact check in nature. Of course, they're back to, this is your caseload. What are they doing? They're mind with subject treatments. They're left out exception nature, left out criminal and serious nature. Fear God, to hide and plot. So someone respond for Central Connecticut State University. I want a picture of this. I want to see what he looks like. This officer Poison, and I want you to see what they look like. The people associated with this Tanya Gill and Kyle Gill and his mother and father. I'm going to show you. Make sure you get the people, the judges
and the prosecutors with my name in the background that were involved with the Bobby. There's a Bobby, a male, and there's Bobby, the female, with the intelligence community. A whole bunch of people in East Hartford locations involved with the intelligence community, training police forms. Now they demonstrate, confess, confirm they have roles with like strippers and things like that, who are involved with police forms that are criminally foreign influence with judges and prosecutors. When, since they were kids, when they were putting involved with identity theft fraud, with the where the subject is the criminally foreign influence, use their own things, why they come up to people, why they say make confessions they did, what they actually knew. They knew this. So they have East Hartford locations also involved, interstates, Maine University. Someone tell Judge, what's his name? Former Governor Malloy, more people with East Hartford, daring, but got scared because there was some judges and prosecutors, people with the intelligence community and military with East Hartford locations involved with the names through time, involved with identity thefts and frauds, with my name, with the Bryn Superior Court and Hartford courts, people and their family members, as the ones involved on time on my street, Wills wire crimes, Wethersfield police, other natures of crimes with people, identity thefts and frauds involved. And the people, how they're on the child defender, pretend to be against us still, beforehand, during it, and more I got then and now. They hid this by charging me with harassment, forging, switching names, attaching confessions to the falsified police reports, like confessions about how they switched their arresting officers' names. And there's no writing on the police reports. So now there's a problem with the interbranch with judge. The executive branch switches names and with mixed police forms involved. And the judicial branch doesn't. And they value that group too. So you guys better fear God and respond. And so say sorry to Judge Napolitano real fast. Begin this class. Say sorry to your employers at Fox News and for not giving up your investigators. Call in, give them up. Get that Jim Rogers in the hell away from to make him sure he says sorry to all the people and the kids for using fake conversations with me and others. And let's get the rest of the Leahy family too. Their daughter is one of the ones involved with the rest of the pictures. More pictures of kids. I don't want to talk their names. He brought up fake conversations. They brought their kids up and they made threats to me about kids. These are people pretending I have mental evaluation, mental illness, fake conversations with me. These people, these doctors, as their kids involved with the school, with the principal child offender. I still haven't got a response because they have various names of courts, personally and professionally, criminally involved with them. Make sure you get a response for them. Get them on paper. I'll hide this. In YouTube, also there's someone type the name Clow on here. There's a Ray Clow who's involved with the intelligence community with drugs and various natures of drugs and medicines crimes through time. And sequence shifts, fabricating police reports, pretending and spreading lies about other people behind their backs and making us use their names. So they have a modern pastry involved with the two Mazzucato pastries with the Wethersfield police. They have these names involved with the confessions over the phone, and they're switching names. Wethersfield, but in fact, I never had a conversation with my other kid. They brought those conversations up too, those names up, and the overt criminal enterprises and the subjects they brought up. These are people that you sought out to put around my presence so that you could paint fake things in the records with the various natures of courts and stuff I caught. Let's get them on paper. And let's when they're not caught, and they're the people over there, quote, catching people, there's a problem. So everything's reversed. You have to follow mandated law for the Wethersfield interbranch and for the Brayton interbranch. And for the other cities are involved with this through time. Whole bunch of ties to Luigi Guerrero on and off my area involved with names I never saw on my street in my life. One time there was an exception. I went someplace In other words, that was involved with sequence shifts too, though. So when people go back and repeat things, they pretend that someone doesn't remember the sequence properly. But those are the ones making it look like I knew him before I did, because I did not, which is relevant to his, as part of the ways that it's recorded. That how John Maiano and Luigi Guerrara and his sister and people in his family have roles with predicate acts on my street, even if they've never been on my street. You know, but I don't know, there's everyone speaking to others criminally involved here too. And we have the passions and emotions as one of the pretended by strangers in the pattern of connections between them. I only got that from people that have connections to this. And intercities. I live 7 places. They all have ties to the same syntax. They affected it at those 7 places. People associated with the FBI director and the other agencies. They have all ties to the same house/S, involved with predicate acts with Wethersfield Police and Gort since they were kids, and their family members. So I don't know what they're making up. These are people that have ties to the 3 spots at the end of the Brown Turnpike who use my name with and as intelligence community that are criminally foreign influence with a whole bunch of other countries. I went out of my way to keep the exceptions grades is right there, because that's involved with the confessions of the executive police family when I was in like 1st grade, 2nd grade, sought me out to confess, demonstrate, confirm, demonstrate the roles of criminally foreign influence consciously with the executive branch. And I found that's with the other branches individually grouped it together. And people from Central Connecticut State University involved with child campuses and their placements of people placed at those campuses through them, where there are criminally foreign influence uses of them, of their sense and sensibility, incapable of being defended, and of us simultaneously from what exploits that. So make sure you respond for the campuses of Wethersfield, Rocky Hill, and Hartford involved with this. And you guys keep bringing more places up. So and you stay name stack too. That's one of the things the interbranch has been doing very sickly with individuals against more people than there are streets in our cities, which is evidence. They pretend people say everyone else is bad. They brought everyone else's names up into this. Make sure you get them on paper fast. Begin this class. Get that officer poised. I want to see what he looks like. I bet she looks like a creepy little weirdo. Hey!